Welcome to Linda's Corner. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about making money while you sleep. I'm delighted to welcome special guest Jacqueline Schadeck. Jacqueline is a New York Times bestselling author, serial entrepreneur, and the coolest certified financial planner that you're likely to encounter. You can reach Jacqueline at her website, jacquelineplans.com, and I'll include a link in the description. Welcome, Jacqueline. I'm so glad that you could join with me today.
Hey, Linda, I'm excited to be here. You know, I love talking money planning and positivity, so thanks so much for having me.
Ooh, I love the word positivity going with the money planning, because sometimes money planning can be really stressful. People don't know what to do. They don't know and it feels so, scary and anxious. So I'm so excited that you're going to talk about positivity. So what is your story? What got you excited about becoming this go-to person for finance?
Good question. So it started I'm located in Atlanta now, but it started in Northern California. I was raised on a 1,000-acre ranch. So the family had been passed down for generation to generation. And long story short, the property ended up getting sold out from under my family because my great aunt owned it and she no longer wanted it. And so my mother received her inheritance early as my grandfather simultaneously passed. So my mother received an inheritance of about $1.4 million, and she ended up losing that inheritance due to poor financial advice within about 4 years. Oh. And because of that experience, and because my mother didn't really understand what exactly happened, I, with the help of Google, came across the Certified Financial Planner designation and decided, okay, that's the person that I want to be. That's somebody who understands comprehensive personal finance. So everything from car insurance to health insurance to planning for retirement to, estate planning and the legacy that you want to leave for your children. I said, oh, this is somebody who understands all of that and investing. Okay, that's what I need to do because that's the person that my family needed at the time. And so I've been trying to be that person for a lot of other people for the past 8 years.
That is fantastic. And a story that hurts my heart, that it shows just how important it is, what a big deal it is to be able to understand how to manage your money. So did she hire someone and they just gave bad advice, or what happened?
She did. She hired someone, and unfortunately, the industry of finances, personal finance, is still pretty convoluted and it's confusing and it's not really clear for consumers. And so the person that my mother chose to work with back in 2006 was only registered to sell products for a certain company. But because of our laws, he was able to call himself a financial advisor. And so the financial advice that he gave my mother wasn't comprehensive in nature because he was tied to selling a particular product. And so, I was like, I don't understand why the industry is created like this. And there should be people who give guidance on all parts of your finances and not just one piece.
That is incredible. And that's so disappointing because he did not have your mother's best interest in mind. He had his own best interest in mind. So how do we, I guess we go to you, but if you're booked, how do you know, what kind of questions do I ask? Because I'm sure she was thinking, I'm hiring someone because this is not something that I'm strong at or have experience with. So I will get some help, some professional help. And that's, I think, what anybody would do in that situation. So how do we not get bamboozled and find someone who has our best interests in mind?
That's a really good question, Linda. And it boils down to the questions that you ask the financial professional that you're interviewing, that you're interested in working with. One, you want to ask them about experience. Do they have any experience with your kind of situation, with your kind of money, if you will? Because everyone's situation is different. My mother, we came from living in poverty, essentially, because when you're land rich, that's a different kind of wealthy, right? So if all of your net worth is tied up in the land and you don't really have the ability to earn income, you're not a high income earner, then that means essentially that you are living a very poor lifestyle, most likely. So that's where we were. We were living a very poor lifestyle. So my mother, what she received in her inheritance was a windfall. It was almost like hitting the lottery in a sense.
Yeah.
It was nothing that she was ever groomed for. It wasn't planned. They were actually fighting the sale of the property to go through, and it still went through. So it's good to ask a financial professional if they have experience with your kind of a situation. After you ask them that, you feel confident with their answer, you want to ask them how they're compensated. And it's not that people who work specifically for one company and can only sell you, X, Y, and Z products, it's not that they're bad in any way. It's just that they are positioned to sell products for their company.
Right.
So if you are looking for a financial advisor who is comprehensive in nature, you want to ask them, how do they get paid? And what products do they offer? I get that question all the time. And, if you're looking for somebody who is comprehensive, you're looking for somebody that's probably going to be compensated on a fee basis. So asking them how they're compensated is huge, and what products they have the ability to purchase for you. So if you, up and randomly decide that you want Apple in your portfolio, is that something that they can purchase for you? That kind of tells about their flexibility, how they're tied, and, what products they're positioned to sell.
That is brilliant. So starting with knowing what questions to ask, I think is a very good place to start. So I'm going to ask some questions. You give financial planning. So what exactly does that mean? And what can a financial planner do for me or for anyone?
It's a good question. So I like history personally. So I kind of like to take things back. And so I like to talk about the genesis of financial planning as an industry. We have a lot of professions that have been around for a very long time. Think about medicine, that's been around for ages. The legal industry, that's been around forever. Financial planning, that's kind of a new one. It actually wasn't born until the late 60s.
Really?
So becoming a certified financial planner or having a degree in financial planning, that didn't start until not that long ago. So when people ask, what is a financial planner? What do you do? It is still a new concept. And so I like to think about it this way. Think about it like this, especially as it pertains to the positivity piece. You're not groomed or positioned to make good financial decisions. You are positioned to survive. That's what your brain is set up for. It's literally set up for survival, and it's set up for reproduction. Like, that's what you're designed to. You're designed to survive and to reproduce. You are not designed to make good financial decisions. So sometimes we need somebody to aid us in making good financial decisions. And so that's what a comprehensive financial planner is supposed to do. They are supposed to help you make good investment decisions, help you make good decisions regarding your cash flow and your budgeting. How should you be allocating your funds on a monthly basis to make sure that you're living the life that you ultimately want to live? And sometimes it's hard for people to understand what a financial planner does because they haven't set financial goals for themselves. So financial planning is just a process wherein we're trying to help you reach your financial goals. One of the biggest goals that sometimes people, especially young people, millennials, are starting to become abreast to this, but a lot of times people don't think about retirement as being a financial goal. But when you save into your 401k every month, you're saving for retirement. That's what that account is for. And so we're here to help you discover that, help you make sense of your money. And I'm here to really help people reshape their relationship with money, because most people that come to me don't have the best relationship with their money. And it's not that they're doing poorly by any means, but it's that going back to what you are designed for, managing your money is one of the most important non-natural skills of the 21st century. I think it was really exposed during COVID, and even to this date, I believe at this very time, Biden is still talking about extending the eviction memorandum. So managing your money is a very, very important non-natural skill. And so a lot of us just need a little bit of assistance with that. And it's not that you're not doing good with your finances, but you could potentially be doing better. So what a financial planner does is they come in and they work with you through this process of really life, and they help you work through your finances and your financial decisions, financial struggles, and your financial wins. So I really enjoy what I do, and I hope that answers the question.
That was amazing. And I say that was a pretty comprehensive answer. And I'm just delighted, and I'm trying to gather and all the pieces that you've said, because you've covered so many things. And I have been privileged to be able to speak with other financial planners, and some from the UK and some from the US. And I'm hearing some similar and repeated themes that really excite me, because not very many people talk about the relationship with money. And I think that that is a basis that is so huge, because we have kind of whatever we're used to is our standard. That's our norm. That's what we're used to. And I had one guest, and he put it in a really fun way. He said, when you talk about finances, we have an upper and a lower level. We have the bottom, which is our personal level of poverty. And for different people, that's different. And then an upper, what he calls affluenza, which is like you have too much money and you're sick. It just makes you do stupid things. And for some people, depending on where they're at, 0 is their expected level. And on payday, that's too much money. You don't know what to do with that. So you got to go to the bar. You got to buy drinks for all your friends. You got to blow it because you don't know what to do with it. And then when you get back to 0, okay, now I'm where I belong. And as we work on what our expectations are, then we can raise that level. Because I don't think 0 is a very good number. Just saying. So yeah, and this guest, anyway, he was talking at one point, his lower was 40,000 and then it went to 200,000. It's like, yeah, if I get below that, that makes me feel uncomfortable. So I think that is beautiful as you discuss all the different aspects of this and learning. So how do you get someone who's coming from a situation, maybe they're land rich and money poor, or they've come from a situation where they're not used to having money? How do you get them so that they feel comfortable? Like, having money is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, and it helps us. So how do you get them to feel comfortable and then be able to do it?
Yeah, it's a real process. I love what that other advisor was saying about getting back to, maybe me being a little scientific, the level of homeostasis, like people coming back to that point where they're comfortable in what they know. And so I talk to clients a lot about financial trauma, because what that is that's a certain amount of trauma that you're experiencing. That's why you feel like you always have to get back to this level of comfort, this level of homeostasis, and you feel like you need to maintain this level. So sometimes people just need to hear that. And once you put it out there, they realize, oh, wow, that's what I'm doing. So let me do better. And so it's a lot easier having a professional on your side helping you along the way, right? It's like having a fitness trainer. We all want to be in better shape. And one of the best ways to do that is to have somebody there breathing down your neck, getting you in shape. So it helps being a financial advisor, because I'm able to say, okay, we're going to set up these automated systems. And so helping somebody create a system helps them to create a discipline. And as we know, we may not always be motivated to do things, but once we've built a discipline, and we have rules in place and we've automated that, then it makes it so much easier for you to be able to move from that point of financial trauma. So as that last advisor was saying, to go from that 40,000 to that 200,000, it's going to be a lot easier if you have a system in place and you have some way to maintain discipline. So for those who may be listening and are like, okay, how do I get that? The best thing to do is to automate your savings. So we want to automate our savings from, our paycheck to what goes into our emergency fund to what eventually goes into our investment accounts. Because if you're able to automate it, it builds a discipline. So when you're not motivated to do it, when you feel like, oh no, I'm supposed to go out and blow this entire paycheck that I get. When you look in that account and you see that paycheck, instead of being 5,000, it's only 2,000, that blow money is going to feel a little bit different. And it's going to help you because you're going to have those rules in place.
That is so brilliant. And when you talk about making money in your sleep, I think that's the key, is to make it automated so that it just does it by itself. And the part you play is to be able to help people make good decisions as far as where to put those things and create that system and put it in place. I think that's, for most, I would say 99% of the population, that's the only way we're ever going to make things work, because it takes too much discipline. And to try and pull up that discipline every payday is hard. But when it just comes and this much goes into your 401k and this much goes into savings and this is what I have left, and all you look at is, this is what I've got left. Oh, I can work with that. rather than trying to make those decisions over and over again. So that's brilliant. Well done.
And then you don't feel guilty about that this much that you have left, because you know, I've already saved, I've already invested. I don't have to feel guilty. I can spend this money freely.
And I think that's a really important aspect, because sometimes when we talk about finances and budgeting, it sounds like restriction, restriction, restriction. And when there's some money there that you know that you can spend and play and have fun and be happy now, and not say, well, when I'm retired, then I will have fun. I'm going to be able to do both and find that balance. I think that leads to a happy life and a wise life. So love it.
Absolutely.
Love it. Okay.
And I hate the word budget being restrictive, and that's why I don't love using it. I tend to use cash flow more often, because I want you to think about your cash flowing instead of a restrictive budget.
Isn't that brilliant? How clever you are. Just that using a different word helps us to have a different mindset. And that's a clever tool, and it's actually really very powerful.
Absolutely.
So right now, the stock market is not super fabulous. What kind of recommendations would you give to invest?
To any investors, you know, they call it hodling. You know, hold tight. You know, hold on for dear life. You know, stay invested. If you are invested right now, stay invested. I think, you know, I need to go back and calculate the numbers, but it's not very pretty for my clients who ultimately went against my recommendation and pulled completely out of the market in, you know, April of 2020. And since April of 2020, stock market has done almost nothing but go up in value. So those who sat in cash for a very long time, some of them are still in cash. You know, the biggest problem with getting out of the stock market when you're scared is you've got to be right twice. So you've got to be right on the sell side when you sell your assets, hoping that you're not selling for a lower price. And then you've got to be right again on the buy side of when do you buy in again. And the problem is, you know, although most of us think that we're right all of the time, we're not always right all of the time. And so for you to be right 2 times in a row with something that is so precious to your life, your family's life, you know, your livelihood, it's just a risk that I don't recommend people take.
All right. So just hold tight and wait it out. And you know, some people don't realize, because when we look at the stock market and say, shoot, today I lost X amount of dollars, we haven't actually lost the X amount of dollars unless we sell and take it out. And if you just hold on and just ride it and then it goes back up, then chances are we're going to be okay.
Exactly. Linda knows something about the stock market.
And that's a little bit of a comfort, because it is right now the numbers are sad on our thing. We look at it every day. It's like, dang it. And then the next day, dang it some more.
I know. I usually recommend people don't look at it every day. It can be a lot of wear and tear.
True. That's very true. So what is something that everyone should know about their money?
Something that everybody should know about their money. That's a good question. And I think that everyone should know that whatever financial position you're in right now doesn't dictate where you have to be tomorrow. It doesn't dictate where you'll be in 5 years or 10 years from now. You know, I've seen people change their financial situations at the drop of a dime. So wherever you are right now, you can always be in a better position.
Oh, what a comforting and lovely thought, that we're not stuck with where we are. Again, I think part of that comes back into our mindset and what we've grown up with and what we're used to, where we think, well, this is what I've experienced, and so this is what I'm going to experience for the rest of my life. And to be able to think, this is where where I am and what I've experienced, and I can have something new and something better. And that is very, very hopeful. And I really appreciate that, because again, finances can be something that can cause a lot of stress.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We know the stats. They're one of the number one causes of divorce and, you know, separation in families and friendships even. And so if we can remember that life is fluid and things are always changing and they're changing for us in our favor, then it makes it so much easier to get through any financial struggles that you may be having. Or, you know, we're we're positioned to always want more. Just as humans, it's just inherent. We always want to have more. So for those of us who are probably doing pretty well, we may see friends who we think are doing better. And so it's just a reminder that life is fluid and money will come and go. And I hope that whoever's listening to this will pay attention to what it is that they really want out of their life aside from money. Because when you die at your funeral, nobody is going to say, Linda had 2,000 shares of Apple stock and we were so proud of her. That's not what they're going to say. They're going to say, Linda left a really beautiful mark on people with her lovely podcast, and the positivity that she spread was unmatched. So it's just a reminder that money is a tool. It's to get you where you want to go. It's to help you live a lifestyle that you want to live. It comes and goes, but really focus on what means the most to you. And for me, I had to do some reflecting, and I was like, well, what do I want people to say about me at my funeral? I don't want them to say that Jacqueline was the best financial advisor ever, the coolest financial advisor on the planet. That's not what I want to hear. I want you guys to know that I left something impactful and built a legacy and helped people get out of tough situations. It's something I want to be remembered for. So I just hope that, people will cling to that and understand that money is just a tool. It'll go up and down, but just focus on the life that you want to live.
That is incredible. Boy, when you said that you were giving comprehensive advice, I was thinking you were going to talk about financial comprehensive. You were talking about life comprehensive. And being able to put that in perspective makes all the difference. Because I think that quality of life is, money is just a portion of quality of life. Quality of life is our joy. It is our choices. It is our happiness. It is our relationships. It is so many different things. And when we can put money and just say, this is a tool. This is something that can help you to meet your goals and your needs and your desires, then that is incredible. I am so impressed. Thank you.
Absolutely. I love what you just said. I feel like that's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. And people who get into the personal finance realm or become financial advisors, I think sometimes they lose sight of knowledge versus wisdom. And so knowledge is knowing that if I go out and party with my friends all weekend and spend way too much money, that I'm, going beyond what I should be. And I'm pushing the limits, and I spent money that didn't bring me anything in return. But wisdom is knowing that I needed that break for my mental sanity and for my life, and to make connections with other people and to bring happiness. And so people tend to throw those knowledge and wisdom kind of thoughts to the wayside when they start thinking about personal finance, because they're like, well, I know that I shouldn't spend this money and I need to stick to this budget and I need to be super, super frugal. And I'm not saying go and blow all of your money in a weekend, but I'm just saying know the difference between money that is going to bring you a monetary return and money that's going to bring you a return in other areas of your life, such as your physical well-being, social well-being, spiritual well-being. There's a difference there. So I love what you were talking about. I think it's just the difference between knowledge and wisdom in the personal finance space.
That is brilliant. I love the idea of the balance. And with our money and how careful and we use our money, we can go to the extremes on either end. We can be the one who just blows our paycheck and doesn't know how to keep anything. Or we can be the person who refuses to live because they're so terrified about trying to save. And so on that spectrum, finding something in between where we can have joy now and have security later, I think is a balance that is, I think it brings happiness and peace.
Absolutely. I think the peace is huge. The peace is huge. And I think when you feel more at peace, your happiness will grow. And so I think it is about just finding a happy medium, a good balance.
Wow. Well, I've loved every single thing that you said. Do you want to talk about business at all, or do you want to just keep it at personal?
That is business, right? I share a lot of this in the book, Money Planning and Positivity, and it's available on Amazon if anybody is interested in grabbing a copy of that. But I talk about a lot of this in the book. And so I break it down into 4 pillars. And in the 3rd pillar, I take a deep dive into financial planning, and just how to deep dive. I keep it surface level to make the book easy flowing, but I wanted it to be a very easy read. And so I dive into finances there, and a little bit about business there. And so I can answer any financial planning questions that you have, anything in particular. We can dive right into it.
That is fantastic. And thank you for mentioning your book and where to get it. I really appreciate that, because it sounds like a book worth reading. And I really appreciate your approach, that you have the wisdom and the skill set, but also make it relatable for just mere mortals who are just trying to go day by day. Because not all of us have the skill set, and not all of us have the desire to obtain the skill set that you really need in order to be successful. So I'm so grateful that there are people like yourself who have that skill set that can help and benefit and help us to all be successful together.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. I didn't realize that there were so many people, honestly, that needed that kind of guidance until I put myself out there in the digital space. And once I started marketing on social media and the internet, and I know I sound ancient, but it was maybe only about 4 years ago when I started doing that. Before that, I was doing everything kind of referral and word of mouth. And when I started putting myself out in the digital space, I realized there was a lot of people who don't understand complex financial terms, and they just get bogged down by all of the noise and they don't know where to turn. And so I was like, wow, like the digital stuff needs to be very like simple and easy for people to understand. Like that's how you can help more people. So I've been really excited to see that kind of take off. And that was the goal of writing my book, was so that, you know, anybody could read it. It's super easy. I want it to be a book that you return to once a year, because I left some open areas for you to write what wealth means to you in the beginning of the book and the end of the book. And so if you can revisit that over time, I think that that's going to help with that positivity piece in your life, because we can't ignore our finances. You know, they dictate, you know, what time we get up in the morning, where we live, what we do on a daily basis. And so I think that it's important to at least be reviewing what wealth means to you on an annual basis.
That is beautiful. So what does wealth mean to you? I mean, I love that question.
Yeah, and I like to keep it pretty simple. So, you know, wealth means to me being able to live life on my terms and give back to those around me. You know, I've had to do some real deep diving really over the last 1.5 to 2 years of, you know, what does wealth really mean to me, and, you know, discovering what relationships are important to me. And so I just realized how big it is in my life to have close family and friends and be able to support them when necessary. You know, that's a really big source of joy for myself, and being able to give back to people with my financial knowledge, which I do through our group Pocket Advisor online. You know, I post YouTube videos, I post information constantly on social media, just because that's my way of giving back. And so I feel like honestly, the more money I know that I have, the more that I'm able to give back to other people. And so that's just a big part of what wealth means to me.
I love that definition. It's beautiful. And I love that you brought in not only the financial aspects, but the relationships and the social, because to me, that's also very important. And my husband and I, through the years, have had lots of conversations about jobs. Do we switch? Do we change? What do we do? And we always have a conversation of what matters more to us personally. Is it quality of life, or is it more money? And for us personally, we have always chosen quality of life. And we definitely want sufficient for our needs, and to be able to give, and to be able to have enough that you can be generous and to help other people. That means a lot to me. But yeah, that was awesome. Well, thank you for visiting with me. I feel enlightened.
Well, good. Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a great conversation. I hope that it's helpful.
Yes, very. In closing, I'd like to share a quote by author and TED Talk speaker Idowu Koyenikan. He said, "When money realizes that it is in good hands, it wants to stay and multiply in those hands." Today, I invite you to take at least one action to convince your money that it is in good hands. See you next time on Linda's Corner.